Let's go out to Phoenix, Arizona, and talk to my Miranda. What's up, Miranda?
Hi.
What up?
I'm just excited to speak with you today. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Of course, I'm grateful that you called. What's up?
Well, I have a question, and so I'll tell you my question up front. I'm going through the process of a divorce. I'm waiting for it to be finalized, and I'm wondering when it's helpful to speak up about abuse in marriage after divorce. And I'm wondering if I'm just better off living with the truth in peace if I've left an abusive marriage.
I guess first out of the gate, man, I'm so sorry that you had to live with this.
Thanks. Yeah, it's kind of awkward because a lot of people just really don't know.
Yeah.
I left earlier this year, and I'm trying to focus on rebuilding my life. I've mostly just kept quiet about it, especially from the beginning of our marriage, and I've been really protective of my ex in our relationship. I thought that we could work it out privately and like with marriage counseling, and no one on his side actually knows what happened or what he's done. And honestly, I feel like there are a lot of things I still don't know. And I don't want to cause issues or drama, and I really don't want to hurt people because I feel like it could be really hurtful to talk about things. And I'm not sure I'd even be like heard or listened to, but the reason I'm asking is because I recently ran into one of his family friends, and it went really sour, and I'm just kind of shaken up and wondering if I did the right thing by keeping quiet.
I want to reframe that for you, okay? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Tell me about the abuse, and then I'll walk you through this reframe.
Well, it started really early on. It's really strange because while we were dating, he never like physically pressured me to do anything. But within a few days of us being married, he just was very coercive and controlling and forceful.
Are you talking about sexually?
Yeah. And at one point even like forced himself on me against my will.
Okay. We call that rape.
Yeah. And
hold on, let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
Why does using that word make you so uncomfortable?
I think I'm okay with recognizing that internally.
Okay.
But I've really struggled with publicly or with other people using that word because it doesn't reflect the image of what people typically think of when they think of rape. And I don't want to take away from other people's experiences because I know this sounds bad, but I feel like mine's just not as bad as some other people's. And maybe that's the wrong response, but that's just how I feel. I don't know.
I'm really not going to frame anything you're saying as right or wrong, okay? I don't want you walking around with that sort of weight, like I did this wrong. I will tell you that comparing trauma is an exhaustive fool's errand. It doesn't make you feel any better, and it doesn't minimize to your body, to your heart, to your soul, the violence that was done to you. And having your autonomy stolen from somebody who got up in front of your friends and family and God and says, I do forever, is can be one of the most unmooring. It just dissolves your sense of self from the inside out, right?
Yeah. And
so,
then,
but listen, hold on. I want you to hear, at least on this phone call,
yeah,
your pain and the hell you've been through is yours, and it's real. And I'm not going to do disservice to you by minimizing it, okay?
Okay.
If that helps you get through the day in a regular basis, I honor that. Your body has been trying to keep you safe and alive in whatever ways it's tried to figure out for the last however many years. That's cool. But on this show, I want to honor you enough by saying out loud what happened and calling it by the right names and not saying, yeah, but one time this happened worse to somebody else in a different way. I don't play that game. Loss is loss. Rape is rape. Violence is violence. Abuse is abuse. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, so continue. Go ahead.
Well, I went through all of that and publicly just pretended like everything was great while like crying every day in private and always talking really wonderfully about him to both our families. My family thought he was like the most wonderful thing. And we were both like away from our families. We didn't have our families around us. And so it's a lot easier to just kind of act like everything's okay. And then we went through like 9 or 10 months of counseling, couples counseling, some individual counseling too.
Over this incident or just to generally try to improve your marriage?
Regarding the abuse, because I just couldn't have intimacy again because I couldn't feel safe, you know?
Of course. What, did he ever apologize, say, I'm sorry? I mean, what was his posture this whole time?
That's the confusing thing because throughout that process, like eventually one day I broke down, like crying and sobbing about how much he hurt me and like tried to just shove it away and move on, but I couldn't. And so that's when we went to counseling, and we also talked about just in general our relationship and communication, but specifically regarding what happened and moving past that and developing intimacy again. And he was apologetic at the time. And since then, he's taken it away and tried to say it didn't happen. But yeah, long story short, initially through that process, things seemed good. And then after we stopped counseling, about a year afterwards, or not a year afterwards, a year and a half ago, I guess. I'm sorry, it's confusing. For a whole year after that, it was just chaos. It was like he didn't really care about me anymore. He wouldn't talk to me, mentally, emotionally connect with me. All these really strange behaviors. It was like something else was going on. I didn't know what was happening. I was dealing with a lot of medical issues at the time, and I kind of hit a point in that year where I recognized I didn't feel like I had autonomy and could make decisions for myself. And I don't know if it was necessarily that I felt so much pressure from him, but I just felt like something was off. And I had this strange, almost like spiritual experience where I just felt everything in my body and my mind, like aware of it and just like go and not even like leave him, just go. Like there's something in your situation that's off, go. And so in the process of trying to evaluate what's going on in my marriage, I, for like short periods of time, would stay with one of my close Christian friends because I just couldn't think clearly and I couldn't process my emotions around him. I don't know why. I think I just didn't feel safe to. And through that process, it just spiraled. It's like the behavior got so toxic, and there was like lying and gaslighting and triangulating between me and our families. And like he built up all this chaos and made it just a toxic relationship to even try to stay in, to try to be built. And I was on the inside just like trying to wait for God to change his heart to be able to try to work things out with him because I couldn't reason with him. And it got really bad. It got to the point where like I could see him enjoying seeing me crying. I could see him enjoying hurting me. It got to the point where he convinced me I was like crazy and tried to like diagnose me with like a paranoia disorder. And like I almost like was thinking about admitting myself because I was like, oh my gosh, there's something really wrong with me. And if it wasn't for my good close Christian friends being like, he's gaslighting you, your concerns are valid, what's going on isn't okay, I probably would have considered really doing that. And
so how long were y'all married?
We were married for a little over 3 years.
And when is your divorce final?
It could be any day now.
Does in your divorce decree, did you disclose the abuse?
I didn't tell my lawyer about what happened, at least until later in the process. And even then it was like, she's like, you can either sue him or not bring it up because either way, like one or the other. I don't know why, but it just didn't seem like it was going to be a helpful thing.
Okay.
And I was away from him at that point, so I wasn't going to file a restraining order because thankfully I was safely away.
So are you in contact with him anymore, or are you done?
It's mostly just finalizing the separation of things, I guess.
Is that in writing?
Yes.
Okay. If you have means, and not everybody does, I would hire somebody to do that. And are you staying in the home, or is he staying in the home? Y'all selling it? How's this? How y'all splitting up?
I'm really fortunate at this point. I'm actually living in a different state from him.
Okay.
So
what stuff do you have to go get?
I don't have to go get anything else. We've already separated it all.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
So, man, you've just been through it, huh?
That's just one part of the piece. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, you've left out a whole bunch.
Yeah.
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 And I can tell because you have very circular, evasive language it's a very particular way of talking that I only hear from people who are in deeply abusive relationships. It was real bad, wasn't it?
It's confusing because
No, hold on. I'm not going to let you do that. It was real bad, wasn't
it? Yeah, it got real bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's what I need you to know, okay? You did everything you could to try to make this thing work. Even to the point that it got so unsafe for you that your body said, if you're not going to leave, I quit. Okay?
Yeah.
You weren't going crazy. Your body was saying, I'm out, because you don't get the message that we're about to get killed here. We're living with a rapist. We're living with a absolute psychopath. And because you wanted to fulfill the role, that the picture you had in your mind, you were so caught off guard because this wasn't the guy you dated, because the family things were so nice and they everybody performed so well at the family get-togethers and the friend get-togethers. And because you wanted to fulfill your whatever your faith told you your job was as a married woman, you went into autopilot until your body said, I'm out. Does that sound right?
Yeah. I think I didn't see a way out when I was in it.
I know. I know. But here's what I need you to hear me say real directly. Until you tell the truth to yourself, your body's going to continue to not trust you to drive, and it's going to drive for you.
Okay.
And what that means is you're going to walk into a meeting, and all of a sudden your heart is going to start beating 190 beats a minute, and your stomach's going to drop, and you're going to feel so sick, and you're not going to know why. And you're not going to be able to sleep. You're not going to be able to meet people. You see what I'm saying? Those are all things that are happening, right?
Yeah. I really struggle with disassociation.
I know. That's your body saying, oh, you're not driving, I'm out.
Yeah.
Okay? A lot of that starts with telling the truth around language and telling the truth about what actually happened. Sitting down with somebody, you've heard me say it a million times on the show, grief demands a witness. I got to sit in front of somebody else and say the words, my husband raped me. My husband was wildly abusive. I know my husband was cheating on me because of X, Y, and Z. My husband did this and he did this, and you have to say those things, okay? With a safe and trusted person. Now, here's the rub. I don't have a good sense, and we could talk for a while longer, but if we were in a different context, but I don't have a sense that family friends or his family, I don't know what benefit there is to bringing all this up. The divorce is final. You're out of their life. They don't get a vote into your life. They don't get to speak into your life. They don't have anything to do with your life. And that lying piece of crap is going to tell them whatever stories he's going to make up about you and about the situation and what a victim he is. And there's not a story, I don't believe, that you can tell that they're going to go, we knew it. Is that fair?
Probably.
Because the way this usually plays out is the world looks at the woman who got victimized and chose silence to keep safe. It wasn't because you were a coward. It's because your body you determined the safest thing for me to do right now is to be quiet. The outside world says, well, if it was so bad, why didn't you say something? Why didn't you tell us? Oh, because she's embarrassed. She's just making this up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they don't get a vote. They don't get a vote. So I'm asking you, what benefit would come? I mean, who would you tell what benefit would come? I do see a significant benefit to sitting down with your family. 100%.
I haven't spoken with his family, but I've tried to talk to my family, and I think only really my brothers are very supportive. The women in my family have been really toxic.
Why?
Well, I don't know. It's hard for me to understand too, but there's history of abuse and enabling abuse in the past, and so to think of me being the one that broke my marriage and left irresponsibly is easier than thinking that I was a victim in a situation for them.
So they've been married to abusive people and chosen to stay?
No, they've enabled me to be abused in the past.
Ah, gotcha. So they've opted out of your life too?
Yeah, my mom basically tried to deny past abuse that happened right in front of her and then told me, because you said that was abuse, I don't believe you when you tell me other things are abuse.
Wow. Okay. Are you seeing a professional counselor?
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I am. I'm actually excited to try and start EMDR sometime
Good.
in the next few months.
Good. Hopefully that is an excellent modality for you to help deal with this trauma. Here's the deal. Sitting with a professional counselor, I mean, you got a hard road ahead of you. But pretending or to keep you safe and not have to deal with the reality of some of this by using some what I would call pacifying language or circular language, like, yeah, it was really hard. He made me feel uncomfortable, versus saying what actually happened, the words. Your body has to know that you are back in control. And the more that you deny it, the more you try to circle around it, the more your body's like, oh, she doesn't get the severity of this thing. Until you sit down in front of somebody, whether it's your attorney, whether it's your therapist, and you say, this is what he did. And while we're here, this is what my mom did. This is what the man, my stepdad, did. And when I brought it up, they made fun of me. They mocked me. They said, that's not abuse. Oh, my. And whatever. Amen. I hate this for you so much. Given the fact that you have experienced abuse before and you told your mom and she didn't believe you, it makes perfect sense that your body thought, oh, this is happening again. We can't tell anybody. Because that is not how this problem is solved. This problem is solved through silence and compliance. Let's try that. Because the last time it cost us our mother. And I need you to hear me say, none of this was your fault. None of this was your fault. I hope you will sit in the presence of some trusting, quality professionals, and that your brothers, some friends in your new community will be trusted, safe resources for you. Grief demands a witness. Whew. I'm sorry, Miranda.